Okay, last page. We have an apple is thrown vertically into the air. Its height h above the ground and time t seconds is given by that. It says find t when h of t equals 0. So if we set h of t equal to 0, that would look like this. 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 48t. To solve that quadratic, I'd start by factoring, so we'll look for some common factors in the right-hand side. So if I look in this term and that term, it looks like I could pull out definitely a t in both of those, maybe also a 16. Okay, so when I pull out the 16t, in the first term I'm left with just a t and minus, and in the second term, 48 divided by 16 is 3, so we get that. And so our two solutions then, if this is set equal to 0, that means either this is 0 or this is 0. If I set negative 16t equal to 0, I get t equals 0. And if I set t minus 3 equal to 0, I get t equals 3. So those are my two solutions. So the question here is, what is happening to the apple the first time h of t equals 0? That's at t equals 0. So at t equals 0, the apple is on the ground and is, well, it's like it's thrown at starting at time equals 0, is just about to be thrown. Not sure if my grammar is great there, but anyway, you get the idea. So it's starting out, it's at the ground, and we're throwing it up. Okay, then at t equal 3 is the second time that the height is 0. So that goes up, and then it comes down, and at t equals 3 is when the apple hits the ground. Okay, then what is the maximum height that the apple reaches, and at what time does it reach the maximum height? So a couple ways to go about doing this. One thing is that you can kind of notice that it's going to happen in between those t equals 0 and t equals 3 times. It'll happen halfway in between, so we can kind of note that. But probably what we want to do here is think about this in putting this in vertex form. That might be the most productive way of thinking. So we can, again, go ahead and we can put this in vertex form. So if I divide out the 16, so let's try putting this in vertex form. H of t equals negative 16, and then I'll have t squared plus 3t. And then for completing the square here, I want to do plus blank. And then I'll add minus blank. So actually, I think I messed up, so this should be minus 3t. Okay, there we go. And so if I took this middle term here, and I did negative 3 divided by 2 squared, that's going to give me positive 9/4. So that's what I want to add here. And then I want to subtract off, and now remember, this isn't just a 9/4, it's a 9/4 times negative 16. So really what I'm adding there is I'm adding 9/4 times negative 16. So I'm really adding a negative 36, so I need to do plus 36. So positive 36. So this thing here is actually a negative 36. So if I want to, when I add in that 9/4 inside of that parentheses, that's actually adding a negative 36. So I need to do plus 36 so that it adds to 0. Okay, so now I'm ready to complete my square. And so I'll have t minus 1.5 squared plus 36. And so my vertex is when t equals 1.5. sorry, and the height then is 36. So that is my vertex. So the question is, what is the maximum height? So the max height is 36, and what is height measured in? Feet. When t equals 1.5 and t is measured in seconds. And I was saying before, we could have also, realized it's going to happen halfway between these zeros, and so I could have plugged in the 1.5 into the function and got the 36 a little bit faster, but I also wanted to show you how to write that in vertex form, so you should be able to do either of those.